This is Get Sellers Calling You, and I'm Beatty Carmichael. Learn more at our website at getsellerscallingyou.com. Hey, this is Beatty Carmichael, and welcome to another session of Get Sellers Calling You with Beatty Carmichael. That's me. I wanted to do a really special training on this podcast. A few months back, I put out a podcast on the things that we've learned from the different marketing tests we've done, the split tests. We've done over 21 split marketing tests, another 37 message variations, and lots of different design layouts to identify what are those things that actually work best. What are the content? What are the words? How do you say it? How do you lay it out that causes people to respond? What I want to do on this podcast is kind of take us the next step, and is the top 4 marketing hacks that generate the most listings. Okay, so this is kind of like the next phase from the testing. This is now, what are the fundamentals in marketing that either you can apply, or if you're hiring someone to do your work, you make sure that they know what they're doing. What are those things that actually cause people to engage in your content so that they do want to respond? Because this is a really important thing. And I think you'll get a lot out of this. This is something I've been wanting to share with you guys for a while, and now it's finally come time to do it. So I think you'll enjoy it. Before I go into this, what I wanted to do real quickly is also let you hear from one of our clients. Her name is Karen, and this is a client of ours. She works in a very niche market. It's primarily a first home. Sometimes it can be a second home, but it is the lakefront community property, which has a totally different dynamic in terms of sales and purchases than you have in a typical home. And I want you to hear what we've been doing with her, and I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Karen, and I originally got my real estate license in 1987, and I've been selling for around, what does that make it, 34 years now, and decided that lakefront property is all we want to do. It's what we know, it's what we live, it's what we play. And we used to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 million in sales every year. We are now currently around 50 million a year in sales. We have tried to generate sellers using other companies. And yes, we've been trying to find someone who can help us specifically target lakefront property owners, homeowners, and lot owners. And it's been difficult because the companies that we've tried to use before are just too generic, and they always come back to marketing to first-time home buyers or marketing to the whole area via zip code, and that does not work in our area. And we tried many different marketing companies, but we were not happy with the quality of the leads, who was coming in the door. They were not anywhere what we were looking for. So then when we ran across Agent Dominator, we were afraid same thing was going to happen. We were going to sign on and pay a bunch of money again and end up with leads that go nowhere. And had total opposite of that almost immediately, which I did not expect at all. I expected to have to wait, and let the process take over and all that. It was very surprising to me that we would get a lead in the door so quickly after the first postcard that would actually produce real cash immediately. First one in the door was a biggie and it sold immediately. And so that generated tons of cash that we needed to continue on. And that was something I didn't expect. I really thought we were going to be with this for 3, 4, 5 months before any real generated lead actually came to fruition. And it was weeks or less. And that was a big surprise to me. You should use Agent Dominator if you want to be successful and fairly quickly, and you want to be successful ongoing. This was the company I would use and I would try before any other company.
Wasn't that a lot of fun? But I've got to tell you the rest of the story, because that recording was done after her first month with us. So now we fast forward 3 months later, she's already listed 3 homes, and she has another 3 listings coming on the market over the next several months. So within 3 months, that's 3 listings and 3 more listings about to come on the market. And so when you do your marketing right, you can generate some really great results. So I want to walk you through that right now. And let me pull up my screen. Okay, so here we are. And for those who are listening to the audio version and not watching this, I've actually got a PowerPoint that I'm going to be walking you through and showing some things. I'll describe as much as I can by verbally, audibly, so you can kind of make sense of what I'm talking about. But if you do get a chance to come back and go to our website at getsellerscallingyou.com and actually watch the video, you may get some more out of it. So these are the top 4 marketing hacks that generate the most listings. And just to clarify what a hack is, it is the best practice. Okay, the top 4 best practices in marketing that generate the most listings. And before I show you those, I want to walk you through the reason behind this. And this is called positioning. Positioning is how you take your name and your brand in your prospects' minds and position it to the top of their mind. Because whichever agent they think of first is likely the agent that they're going to do business with. So this is all about how effective are you at getting your name to the top of their mind. So the top 4 hacks are: number 1, what is the delivery impact? This is in terms of whatever method you're using to deliver your content and your marketing, how impactful is that? And then we're going to talk about the second hack, which is the marketing equation. This is once you understand the equation on how do you bring a prospect into your marketing funnel and down to the bottom so that they actually respond to your call to action. It's a very simple equation, but if you miss the equation, you'll miss getting the results. The third hack is what we call the slippery slide. You'll see this, but the whole idea is you want to get that prospect, once they started on your marketing, to simply have a very slippery slide all the way down so that they don't stop until they have reached your call to action. And then the fourth thing is your font. It's the font is the type of letters that you use in order to communicate. And believe it or not, it actually makes a difference. So the first step is your delivery impact. And this has everything to do with how impactful is your marketing method that you're using going to generate an impact with your prospect. What's interesting is one aspect of delivery impact is what I call the shelf life. Depending on what marketing method you're using to deliver your content, it has what we call a shelf life. The shelf life is how long does your prospect actually see it and hold on to it, okay? So if you're doing a digital ad, that shelf life is usually about 3 to 5 seconds, and then it's gone. If you're doing email marketing, it's a little bit better because they're going to hold on to that email a little bit longer, maybe read it, and you may have a 30 to 45-second shelf life. But what's interesting is when you mail something through the postal service, and it's an actual physical piece of something that they hold on to, then that shelf life is typically about 17 days. So it's a much more significant shelf life. And I want to show you the impact of this. There's a marketing guru, if you call him that, named Gary Halbert. He's deceased now, but he has influenced many of the top marketers out there because of just his brilliancy in how do you craft an ad and how do you teach people to do the same thing. Before his death, he had sold products to 1 out of every 3 American households. So just a tremendous marketer. And some of the names of the people that you might recognize who have been his students, either directly or vicariously, are people like Dan Kennedy and Dean Jackson, Craig Proctor, and also me. Well, Gary did something really interesting. And to show you the impact of what I'm talking about with this delivery impact, he decided to do a split marketing test. He took his active customer base and he created a sales letter to sell some of his products. And he decided to do a split test, sending half his database a sales letter via email, and the other half of his database sending the sales letter through the postal service. And would you like to guess which way produced the most results? Obviously, it was snail mail, right? Okay. But the question is by how much? Because you got to remember, it cost a lot of money to mail something in the mailbox, right? But to email it is absolutely free. It costs nothing. So when he got all the results tabulated, the snail mail letter produced 20 times more sales. But hold on, snail costs more money. It's cheaper to send it by email. Yes. But how much is one more sale worth? If you're selling a house, it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. In other words, what if you spent a little bit more money than email and you got 20 times more sales? Okay, that's the impact of what I call delivery impact. So one of the things you want to do as you're doing your marketing is really kind of determine and consider the impact of the delivery method as you're going out and doing that. So that's the first of the top 4 hacks. The second of the top 4 hacks on generating more listings is what I call the marketing equation. And so the marketing equation is you have your sales funnel, which is basically your marketing piece. And the question is, how do you bring prospects through that marketing piece down into the funnel so they actually respond to your offer? So the first step in the marketing equation is what we call the interrupter. The interrupter is generally your headline, and it's what you're saying that causes a prospect to stop. You interrupt that prospect in their tracks, and they take notice of your marketing piece, and they go, I think I want to read a little bit more. Okay, so the purpose of the headline is to interrupt them and start to bring them into your funnel. The second stage is to engage. Engage is usually a subheadline that starts to expand on the concept, the content of the headline, or sometimes it's your first sentence, okay? But all it's trying to do is engage them into the funnel a little bit more, so that once they're engaged, then the third step of the marketing equation is your education. This is where you spend a little bit more time explaining the offer, explaining what it is about you or about your service or about the offer that you're trying to get them to buy into. And then the fourth step is to offer. This is your call to action that causes them to then respond. Okay, so let's do this again. The marketing equation is real simple. It's interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. And anytime you do your marketing in that approach, you start to say, what can I say that interrupts them? And then once I've interrupted them, how do I start to engage them so I can create some momentum that gets them, pulls them into my content? And then once they're into my content, I can educate them. And now they're fully engaged. I'm able to educate them and bring them down through to my offer so that they'll actually respond. As you start looking out at the different marketing pieces that you get, that you see online and offline, you'll see that the good ones all use the same formula that brings it down in that process. So that's the second hack. The third hack is something that most people probably never think about, definitely never heard about unless you read some of the books that I read, but it's called the slippery slide, okay? And the slippery slide is real important in terms of driving results in your marketing. And specifically, as you're trying to get more listings from homeowners, you've got to have the slippery slide in place. So let me give you kind of the picture. So imagine you've got a child and you're at a playground and you have this great big metal slide, okay, like most of us usually probably did while we were kids. And you get up to the top of that slide and you think, this is going to be a lot of fun. So you start sliding down, but the slide has a bunch of what I'll call gradu on it, okay? You slide and you go, and you come to a complete stop. And you go, rats. So then you get your feet and you kind of claw your feet down, get over that sticky spot, and you start sliding and you hit another sticky spot and you stop. And every time you stop, it's just no fun. It makes you want to stop the slide and just jump off and go someplace else. Okay, that's what happens with a lot of marketing is it constantly stops you and you never get any momentum and it's just no fun. By the time you get down to the bottom of the slide, it's like, it was a bummer. Okay, you never want to go back to that slide again. But now think about a slippery slide. The slippery slide is where everything's been clean. It's kind of greased, maybe just a little bit, it's very slick. You get up on the top, and as soon as you sit down, you just zoom all the way down to the bottom. Your kids are just giggling with glee. They say, do it again, do it again. And they climb back up and over again because it's fun. This is the way your marketing needs to be as well. And the way it works with this, with marketing is the slippery slide has several components, and they all are focused on bringing them in. You'll find that these components are very similar to the marketing equation, but they're expressed differently because there's a little bit different purpose. And it's the combining of the marketing equation plus the slippery slide, see if I can get these words out, that brings you down, brings your prospects into your marketing piece and just makes it really start to work. So the first part of the slippery slide is the headline. The headline is when, if you're picturing the slide again, it's where you first sit down and you push off just a little bit. Okay, the headline is designed to just kind of pull you in and get your momentum going. But then to keep you from stopping, a lot of times a headline is going to have a stopping point, either a period or an exclamation mark, or maybe just a hard line that says, stop here. And when that happens, you've stopped the momentum of your prospect, and then your prospect needs to choose, well, do I go any further? Okay. And we don't want to stop the momentum of your prospect. So you'll see a lot of times what I call an ellipsis. This is the second part of the slippery slide, is an ellipsis. The ellipsis is 3 dots, dot, dot, dot. Okay. And what the 3 dots do is, especially if you have a hard stop on your headline, like a period or an exclamation mark, and you want to keep that prospect moving. Okay, and it doesn't have to be just the headline. You'll see this in body copy as well. You'll put the ellipsis, dot, 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 and what this does is this psychologically tells the person, don't stop here, keep going. Read the this next sentence, okay? And so it acts as a connector between, in this case, the headline and the body copy, and it keeps that slippery slide just kind of moving. And then the third part of the slippery slide is a short first sentence. What we want to do is we want to make it easy and fun for that prospect. So they just read this headline, they're gotten involved and engaged, and now they read the first sentence. Imagine if the first sentence is 5 lines long, lots of commas and lots of complexity. It just wears you out, and most people will stop because it's no fun. But if you start with a short sentence like, Bill did it again, exclamation mark. Then what happens is your prospect goes, oh, that was an easy sentence. Let me read the next one. And it kind of pulls them in. It's this idea of the slippery slide. It doesn't stop them. It makes it easy to go to the next sentence. And the purpose of a short first sentence is to get them to read the second sentence. Now, the second sentence should also be short. It doesn't have to be as short as the first one, but it needs to be an easy sentence, something very easy and short, because what we want to do is we want to get that momentum. So by the time they get through the second sentence, now their whole momentum going down the slide, they're picking up speed. Once we get them into the third sentence, then statistically, usually about 3/4 or more of the people, especially on a postcard size content, once they've read the third sentence, they will read the rest of the postcard. Okay, so this is the idea, the slippery slide that gets them started and just pulls them through, and nothing slows the process down. We actually had designs earlier on that, unbeknownst to us, caused them to stop, and they would not read the content. It took us a while to figure it out. So these are part of our design changes and layout tests that we've done. And now we've got some great designs that just kind of zoom, causes that prospect to just get on that slippery slope and just go all the way through. I'll show that to you in just a moment. But that's the number 3 hack, which is the slippery slide. The 4th hack in generating listings is your font. And most people don't realize the importance of your font, because the font makes all the difference in how well you're able to communicate what you're trying to say. Okay. So you have, basically in marketing, you have the copy, which is what you're saying. And then you have the font, which is how you communicate what you're saying. Okay. And so the font is the actual style of letters that you use. And there are lots of different combinations of different styles. And I want to show you about 2 or 3 of them and how they impact your prospects in actually receiving your message and responding. So the first one is what I call reverse font versus normal font. And for those of our listeners who are just listening to this audibly, if I get the right word out coming out. So reverse font is where you have a dark colored background and you use font that is white. Okay, the font color is white on a dark background. Normal font is where you have a light colored background and dark font. So an easy way to kind of picture this, reverse font is if you have words over a photograph. Okay, you typically use reverse font because the photograph is going to have some dark, bold colors. And normal font would be like what you get in a newspaper or magazine. Usually it's a white paper background and you have black print on top. What happens is the reverse font looks beautiful. So usually in marketing pieces, postcards, online ads, things of that sort, full page ads in a magazine, you'll usually see a lot of reverse font because to make it graphically pleasing, you're going to add different elements. So a photograph here, a colored block over here. You're going to kind of divide it up in sections, but based on colors, and it just makes a reverse font looking really beautiful. But the problem is it doesn't get results. We have tested this twice now, once on purpose and once by accident, because we came up with some beautiful designs and then we're wondering, why is no one responding? And then we realized, it's reverse font. We took out the reverse font and instantly the results came back up. So this is one of the big ahas that we did with some of our split testing. If you watched our other podcast, or if you want to get a direct link to the podcast, just go to our website, agentdominator.com. You'll see a pop-up page that says, learn the top 5 things that we learned from our split marketing test. 3 each produced at least 800% increased results. And you can actually see that portion of the podcast. But what we found with the difference between reverse font and normal font is that the normal font actually increased the response rate by 850%. That's 8.5 times more responses when we focused the marketing piece on normal font than reverse. It was the biggest aha we've ever tested. And it's just amazing. I never would have expected it until we tested it. So that's the first part of your font. There's another type of font to consider is the style font. So you have typically 2 styles. You have what's called sans serif and you have serif. The sans serif would be like, if you're familiar with Microsoft versions, you have Calibri, you have Arial. These are fonts that are just very rigid. They're straight. At the end of each letter, it's just, there's nothing afterward. Okay, it's just very up and down, very straight. Okay, a serif font, and this is for the benefit of those people who are not watching the video. A serif font has like little curly cues at the end of each letter. Okay, you'll typically see serif font in copy, like if you read a newspaper or you read magazines, almost all of them, or you read a book, they're all in a serif font because serif font is easier to read. What we find in the way we've learned to do this best is that we use a sans serif font. It's kind of it can be a bold font, but we use it for headlines, something strong and bold to stand out, grab your attention, but it's hard on your eyes to read. And then we'll use the serif font for the basically for the marketing copy. And here's what's interesting. There's some testing that's been done. We haven't conducted this test, but some results that we read about where they tested the same marketing copy, one with sans serif and one with serif. And while the people read both copies all the way through, what they found is the comprehension of your prospect reading it in serif font was 15 to 20% higher than the comprehension reading it with sans serif. So what this means and what it equates to is if you want a higher response rate, you want them to comprehend what you're saying. So if you want them to comprehend, then use a normal font, serif font, okay? Now, the third and final thing I want to talk about is colors, because this is also important. You'll see how, I'll show you some examples on this in just a moment. But you typically, when you're doing a marketing piece, you want to use no more than 3 colors, okay? A standard color that's most of your content, maybe some sort of a blended color to match the color scheme of your marketing piece, and then an accent color to accentuate certain keywords that you want to do. What we kind of do as a standard practice that we find this works really well is the standard color is a black or almost dark black, okay? Maybe a very dark gray, something that gives a lot of contrast so that on a light colored background, it's really easy to read. And then an accent color, like maybe a dark red, to make your key content really kind of stand out. And this allows you to pull out of your content the key words that you want to draw your prospect's attention to. So when their eyes see it, it stands out and kind of communicates its own message. It's very effective in kind of like a double emphasis in making sure they see what you really want them to see. So those are the top 4 hacks. It's your delivery impact. How are you delivering your message? It's the marketing equation, which is interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. It's the slippery slide, which starts with the headline, uses a little ellipsis. It's got a short first sentence, a short second sentence, gets them engaged, and nothing stopping the process. and then you got the different fonts, with the focus on the fonts primarily being using a normal font, not a reverse font, and then a serif font for your content. So let me show you how you can apply these. And this is where the visual is going to come across a lot better. And I'm just going to assume if you're listening to this audio, there's no way for me to really describe it very well. So I'm just going to walk through assuming that those people are actually watching it. So the first thing with the applying this is a concept we call Stealth Tracker. This is a technology that's based on direct response. How do you identify a seller right now who's thinking about selling before any other agent knows about it? And this actually uses all of the components I've just talked about, the delivery impact, the marketing equation, the slippery slide, the font. So I'm going to show this to you. So what I've got up on screen right now is a copy of a postcard. This is the address side. And I'm just going to focus on the left-hand side real quickly where we have our headline. So notice that the headline, first off, notice that all of the content is a dark colored font on a light colored background on purpose. The headline is in a sans serif font, and we use bold, and we also use the dark red as the accent color. So if I were to come back and just kind of show you the postcard as a whole, the accent color stands out, okay? So the headline, this is now the marketing equation and also the slippery slide, both combined. The headline is, are you thinking about selling your home? So what this does is if I've got a prospect who's thinking about selling the home, which is the prospect I want to identify, I want to grab something that grabs their attention. So are you thinking about selling your home? It causes them to stop what they're doing. It interrupts them, and it starts to get them to say, yes, let me read more, okay? So then I have engage. So the headline is interrupt. Now I'm going to engage them. Notice that the font has changed to black serif, okay? And it says, I may get you top dollar immediately because of special buyers I have. So now what I'm doing is are you thinking about selling your home? And then I'm going to engage them. I may get you top dollar immediately because of special buyers I have. And now I want to educate them. Many of these buyers are looking for a specific type home and often pay full price to get it. Notice as well my use of underline and bold print. I want certain things to stand out because these are the most important things. Top dollar immediately, full price, okay? These are the things homeowners want, and so subliminally, then they are, I'm impressing upon their mind, these are things they can get if they simply respond. So now we're at the interrupt, engage, educate. Let me show you the offer. So now you got the offer. Learn what they typically look for and see if your home is a match. If it is, call me immediately, scan the code. So now we've got this little funnel. Stop interrupting someone as they get the postcard, bring them down through this educational marketing equation into the call to action to scan it. Notice also the slippery slide approach, everything. I'm not using ellipses except for the scan the code now. That means to don't stop here, keep going and do something, okay? But everything else flows really quickly and easily. So what happens with this, just as a little background how we do this, when we mail postcards like this, the codes that we use are unique to the address that we mail that postcard to. Meaning, if we're sending out 100,000 postcards, we're sending out 100,000 QR codes. Because what happens as soon as that QR code is scanned or they maybe enter the URL, then instantly it goes into our database first, where we match where that code was listed and who we mailed it to. So now we know instantly exactly which homeowner received that postcard and which homeowner is now responding. We then send that prospect to a landing page that has the information that the offer is mentioning. At the same time, simultaneously, we're emailing you as the agent who that prospect is that just scanned, because what we find is 2/3 of the people scanning those codes will typically list their home within about a year or a little bit longer. And half of those people usually list within about 90 days. Okay, so this gives you an early warning. Someone's thinking about selling, you can reach out to them. And it works because of the marketing equation, is the delivery impact method, the postcard, is the slippery slide, is the font, all that working together. Let me show you another way that we're using this content and how you can apply these hacks into your marketing. And this is with the actual marketing content. So you'll see also the delivery impact being the postcard. Okay, that's why we use postcards. The marketing equation, the slippery slide, and the fonts all at the same time. So one thing here is this is a just sold postcard. And I want to show you the impact of just one thing, and that is the font. Okay, I'm now going to put on this postcard, first let me take that off real quick and just ask you, if you were a homeowner and you get this postcard and it says just sold and it has a pretty home, then how much impact does that do to you about this agent is someone that I need to call to sell my home? It does a little bit maybe, but usually not. But watch the impact. This is kind of the impact now of content. I'm going to use, in this case, you'll see I'm using sans serif font because it's almost like a headline, okay? It's short copy and I want it to stand out and really be strong. So I'm going to use a white background, black print. I did it again. Another one sold at the top of the market price. Just a few words and it turns that just sold card that does very little emotionally to the homeowner and now makes the homeowner go, oh my gosh, I need to call Bill. He did a great job with this home. Okay, just a few words will really articulate the value that you do. But let me show you a totally different design for that same home. And I'm now going to show you how we're applying all of the elements of these different 4 hacks and how they appear on a postcard. So if you're going to create your own postcards, this is how you can do it in your own marketing. If you were looking at our postcards now, you understand that there is a reason for our madness. Notice the first thing that grabs your attention is going to be the headline, but the accent part of the headline is the bold, dark red. Sold this home in 5 days for full price. That stands out. What that does to you is because it stands out, it makes you then want to go back and read the full headline. So the headline is the interrupter, using the accent to help interrupt for what that homeowner is interested in. This is the homeowner thinking about selling. So then I read the full headline. After 180 days with another agent without selling, Bill Smithson sold this home in 5 days for full price. Here's how, ... Okay, so what I'm doing is because the headline section is a different color than the main body copy, and because you have this nice, pleasing looking thin line that separates the headline section from the content, what we've found is we didn't want to cause the prospect to stop. So we used the ellipsis. Here's how ... which means keep reading, go to the next line. So now we're using the slippery slide approach. Notice the short first sentence. Bill did it again, exclamation mark. The purpose of the headline is to get them to read the first sentence. The purpose of the first sentence is to get them to read the second sentence. So the second sentence is also kind of short, but tells a little bit more of the story. He sold this home at the top market price, exclamation mark. How? ... Even though technically how is a second sentence, another sentence, all this typically runs together as one. So he sold this home at the top market price. How? ... That ... says keep reading. So now I've got them reading the first sentence and into the second sentence, and now they get to the third sentence. The third sentence is gold. If you get them to the third sentence, they'll normally read the rest of the content. Notice also that the third sentence is a second paragraph. We've broken this up into individual paragraphs so that visually it's easy on the eyes and it makes it easy to read. Lots of white space. So now watch what we do with this third sentence. He follows a proven 4-step process he created that consistently works, ... So notice that this third sentence is equally as long as the first 2 sentences combined. Okay, so we're starting really short sentences and increasing it so that we can get more content, but we want to get them on that slippery slide that gets them started. Okay, so this is, now if we were to look at the marketing equation, we have the headline interrupts. Okay, we have the engagement. Bill did it again. He sold this home at the top market price. How? ... And now we start to have the educate. Interrupt, engage, educate, and then we're going to offer. Okay. So now we're getting into the engagement and the education. So he follows a proven 4-step process he created that consistently works, dot, dot, dot. And then we start to go through that 4-step process. Notice also, even though I'm not using the accent colors, I'm using bolding, which is an accent concept. And I'm accenting preparation, pricing, presentation, promotion, because now someone can quickly read through this. They scan it and go, oh, there's something here. They break it apart. Mentally, it becomes very easy for them. And most people will actually read first the bold bullet points and then come back and read the content. Okay. So all of this is designed very specifically to engage that prospect, to make it easy to read, easy to glance, and then pull them in to want to read the rest of it. Isn't that cool? So that is how that works. Now, the question is, do these hacks really work? Well, you've already heard from Karen at the beginning of the session, but I want to walk you through just a couple of other clients and show you some astounding numbers, okay? All of this is through postcard marketing. And if you've ever done postcard marketing in the past, you'll know that if you had success, you had to keep marketing for probably almost a year before you get your first listing. So watch what happens. This is a couple out in California targeting a 1,500 home farm. And they said, I am speechless. By our second mailing, we had listed 3 homes and had 6 more listings coming on the market in the next 3 to 6 months. Very similar to what you heard with Karen earlier at the beginning. And then he said, at the end of the first year, we earned right at $99,123. And 6 months later, so this is 18 months using postcard marketing in a 1,500 home farm, says that we sell 22% of all the homes in our farm, outselling the number 2 agent by over 7 times. So this is what we call performance-driven postcards. They generate up to 10 times the results of standard postcards because we're using the proper marketing hacks that cause it to really work. Here's another agent over in Georgia. Again, he says, I'm ecstatic. Since we implemented Agent Dominator 2 or 3 months ago, we've already reached $3 million in sales in just 2 or 3 months with postcard marketing. And he says in the next 3 months, we should have another $3 to $5 million of inventory coming in. And then you have another person. Actually, this one is focusing on his personal past clients and contacts. And he said he'd been using another marketing referral-based system, one of these, the premium one out there that if you've ever used a referral-based system. He said for a year with no noticeable results, he switched to us. And the only thing that changed is we started using this approach with the postcards. And he said, I switched to Agent Dominator at a lower cost, and I've already received 18 new clients in my first 7 months. So this concept really does work. And I want to show you the different types of marketing that we do with these different hacks that are very effective. So if you were to go to our website at agentdominator.com, you would see all these, but just kind of show them to you. We do just sold and just listed postcards using this approach, much more effective than your standard just sold and just listed. We also do it with geographic farming, with past clients and sphere of influence, with niche markets. So a niche market would be like a second home market, or like you heard with Karen, lakefront homes, very specific, very unique. And you can actually get a lot more results when you're focused on a niche. We do it with commercial property and also with agent attraction. So if you're involved with a broker that you're trying to attract new agents, all these principles work there. So let me invite you to go to our website to learn more on this type of stuff over at agentdominator.com. And if you would like a copy of what we actually did on our 21 split marketing test and see what the top 5 things that we learned from that test and what actually worked best, then you'll see a way that you can download it there. Also, let me just encourage you to look around our website. There's some great content, some more information, and obviously we'd love to serve you if you would have interest on that. And one of the things that we do that's different, because we've done over 75 marketing tests on over 2 million postcards, we've probably done more testing on generating listings through postcard marketing than any other postcard marketing company in the real estate industry altogether. But one of the things that it's allowed us to do is because our results are so consistent, we're actually the only company that I know of that guarantees your listings or will give all your money back. And you'll see that with our premium products. So have a blessed day. Thanks for watching and or listening, and hope that we can serve you in the future. Be blessed. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe to it so you never miss another episode. And please like our Get Sellers Calling You Facebook page. Also, if you want to increase sales from past clients and sphere of influence, dominate a geographic farm, or convert home valuation leads, check out our Agent Dominator program. We create custom content that differentiates you from other realtors, then use it to keep you top of mind with your prospects with postcards, targeted Facebook ads, email campaigns, video interviews, and more. And the best part is we guarantee your sales or give all your money back. Learn more at GetSellersCallingYou.com and select Agent Dominator in the menu. Thanks for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast. Have a great day.